Welcome to another episode of Rooted in Results. Today we are going to do a little podcast about women in ag. And I have my good friend Kassi. Oh my gosh, your name is not Rice anymore. I'll let you introduce yourself, Kassi, so I don't butcher the last name. It's not that hard to say, but is it Werning?
Werning. Yep.
Werning. Okay, so Kassi Werning with us today. And yeah, I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Hi. So first of all, thanks for having me, Hailey. And yes, I recently got married, so I am no longer Kassi Rice. I'm officially Kassi Werning, and it is a crazy deal to have to change your last name and like introduce yourself differently. But yeah, no, got married in October. Me and my husband Jared live in Parkston, South Dakota. So about 5.5 hours from Parkersburg, where I grew up. Yeah, that's.
Tell us about the nearest Kassis or whatever, or not Kassis, but gas station.
So when I first moved out here, we were about 25 miles from the nearest gas station. Since then, we've moved and we are actually very nicely located right near town, and I can see the Kassis now. And it's wonderful.
Which is a must here in the Midwest.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. When you first told me that, I was like, dude, 25 minutes just to get like milk or something, gas.
Right. It was a huge adjustment for me, especially like growing up in Parkersburg and in Iowa in general. Every town's 5 miles from each other. Mm-hmm. And yeah, having to prepare and have groceries and gas is a big one. Just not being real close to town at that time was a big adjustment for me.
Super cool. This is not a question that I had really prepared, but I'm curious, what is the difference, like agriculturally, like even lifestyle wise, from going from like here where we do a lot of row crops? Do you guys do a lot of that out there, or is it mainly just cattle?
So South Dakota's kind of divided East River, West River. We are in the center of what you would call East River. Mm-hmm. So a decent amount of crops, a lot of grass, a lot of cows. The biggest difference, I guess, from Butler County to here would just be like soil types. Like 200 bushel corn is a very, very, very amazing year here.
Really?
And 60 bushel soybeans. There's a lot, surprisingly, still a lot of grain elevators. A lot of hog barns are becoming more and more popular up here, but they not nearly like in Iowa. We probably have on average 6 inches of topsoil. Like you get 6 inches down and you're hitting clay and gravel. So, yeah.
It sounds so much more like Oklahoma.
What's that?
It sounds like so much like Oklahoma. I mean, there's like super red clay down there, but it's just so much more like that's how it was when we were down there, right. Minus the growing season, obviously it's different.
Yeah. No, it's very beautiful up here, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it's still square mile by square mile, a lot of the places, but there's also a lot of hills and river valleys and beautiful landscape. And South Dakota in general has a lot of variance in landscape. Mm-hmm. And you get farther west and it's Black Hills. That's unreal. If you ever get to go there, I would highly recommend. But around here we have a lot of brome grass and some mixed in native prairie grasses, often referred to as warm season grasses. Mm-hmm. They kind of grow better in the fall. Mm-hmm. Great cattle production ground.
Love it. So what type of a farm did you grow up in? Because obviously you're doing cattle now, and I know that that's not just because you married into the business, right? Yep. I remember you getting on the bus at school, and like if there would be, you would sometimes have like just pull the cow or whatever, or had rabbits that passed away. So I know that it's in your blood, but you can even tell us a little bit maybe about like grandma and grandpa and how.
Absolutely. So, grew up north of Parkersburg there. And we were, I guess, what you would consider a diversified row crop: hay, corn, soybeans. But then we had cow calf operation as well. We probably put a little more emphasis on the show cattle side of that than Jared and I do currently. So yeah, obviously in my blood, I personally am many generations of farming. I know this will segue kind of into what some of the things you wanted to talk about later. My grandma is primarily the main farmer, I guess. My grandpa worked off the farm. My parents both work off the farm, but all of us are very heavily involved in growing up. I personally did not have that much interest in the crop farming side of it. I loved the cows. I loved all the animals, the rabbits. Yeah. So that segued into college, and I went for animal science, and that transitioned into a double major with animal science and ag communications because I wasn't real sure exactly where I wanted to land. I always kind of joked I wanted to raise cows and have a family on the farm, and I never thought that that would be something that I would be living today. But that was always just kind of in the back of my mind of like, that would be an awesome life goal. And I met Jared my senior year of college, and I started, it was actually the COVID year. So mostly all my classes were online, and basically kind of moved up to South Dakota, finished school online a little bit here and there, going back and forth from here to Ames. And yeah, now we run a cow calf operation, primarily Simmental seed stock, which would be breeding livestock for the commercial cattlemen to go out and produce, like with emphasis on pounds production. Obviously in cattle, they sell by the pound at the sale barn. So our focus is raising those genetics for those breeders to excel in that department.
Well, that's cool, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of comes full circle. I work here full time with Jared, and we have a lot of fun doing it together. And I have a lot of respect for people that work full time with their significant other. And yeah, that comes with its own challenges, of course, but we seem to get along pretty well, and we've made some pretty awesome things happen here in the last few years. So
that's so cool. What is your favorite part, like, about kind of the generational farming? Because, like, yeah, you really have seen it from grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad, and you guys have all been involved in certain aspects. And now, yeah, like, you guys are kind of continuing that, obviously in a different location, but
right,
you know, it's the same thing, really.
Right. No, it's definitely I think generational farming is more of a topic that's come to light in the last 5 years, maybe. I think it probably should be arguably the most important part of the whole thing, given the age of the American farmer and agriculturalist in general is so high, and it is very difficult to start farming on your own without that generational knowledge, all the assets that come with that. But it needs to be a priority. We have to want to pass this on to future generations, because without that, and everyone's plan and everyone's succession plan is going to look different. Everyone's how they can go about it is going to be different. But I think passing these things on from generation to generation is very, very important. And in order to keep agriculture at a forefront, just passing on that lifestyle and legacy is huge.
Huge, yeah. How do you, like, I feel like a lot of times, and this might be like such a generalization thing, but when these families who are in egg, like have like, let's say all daughters, or yeah, like a daughter and a boy or whatever, it's kind of like you expect the male to take on that role. But how do you feel like that's changed? Kind of like this women and egg thing. I think we've always been involved, right? In like one aspect or another, but I think that maybe there's this change in the mindset of like, well, my daughter's involved, she wants to do it, and now she's taking over the farm. I think it's, yeah, it kind of had to be that change of mindset. But it's like, if I want this to continue, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to like let the reins go.
Right. I guess I probably have a little different take on the women and egg thing than some people do.
Especially because of Grandma Myrna.
Right. Honestly, I was raised by women in egg.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma is 87 years old and she technically still runs our farm. Yes, she has a little more help than in past, and my parents are very, very involved, but she's still doing it.
And she is strong. She's probably stronger than we are.
I mean, I think I'm getting closer to keeping up with her, but there's been a lot of years that I couldn't keep up with her, and I don't know that my mom would say the same thing. And my mom was obviously out at the farm all the time and sharing those responsibilities too. And I would say my dad and my grandpa primarily have the off the farm jobs that were supplemental to the farm income, obviously, but a little more demanding of time and time away. So I never knew any different.
So it wasn't really like taboo for you.
No, it wasn't something that ever crossed my mind of like, can't do this, or and maybe that's luck, maybe that's fortunate. I guess I think that sometimes the women in egg deal gets a little taboo as far as like trying to beg for a seat at the table versus we're all out here doing it. Mm-hmm. And the girls and women that are out here doing it and living it day to day, I've never once felt that a man has ever talked or treated me differently, because I've proven that I belong, I guess. And that's not everyone's experience. That's not certainly not everyone's experience. And I don't necessarily work in an office setting in egg where I am having, but most of my customers and my husband's customers are primarily the men. Jared makes my life very easy in that regard, as far as, hey, call Kassi, or I have to check with Kassi or things. And so I got lucky with that, and my husband too, as far as just like, we are a team, we are a joint effort. And yeah, so I've been very fortunate in that regard. I know that's not everyone's story. I know that's not everyone's case, but I think that every woman, man, whoever wants to do it, it's important, and there's a need and there's a role for everyone. Yeah. Whatever that role may be, who knows, but it's there, and there's a need. And I think anyone that's passionate, and honestly at Iowa State, if you go to an egg class, it was primarily women. Yeah. And some of the agronomy classes got a little more, maybe half and half, men, whatever, but there certainly wasn't a lack of passionate and interested women. And I think that's awesome. I think being able to pass it on, whether it's your son, your daughter, your granddaughter, your grandson, I mean, if they want to do it, don't hold them back, because there's certainly a place for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's kind of trumping, like keeping the farm within the family is kind of trumping any of those like taboos. And they're probably a little bit older than like what we have maybe experienced too. And like you like come from, I would say a fairly unique situation, but I think just the recognition of like women, like I think that women and men in egg can really complement each other. I think that maybe when you get to like corporate level, it probably women have to fight a little bit more and like have something to prove. But I know with like our customers for sure, I was nervous coming into the office. Christy is obviously our boss, and didn't come from an egg background, which is really awesome, and has just a lot of our growers really have a lot of respect for her. And then Hailey, she grew up on a farm and things like that. So it's like really all women except for Mike. When he's around, he's here and has to deal with all those ladies. But I was nervous, and I was nervous if they would like take me seriously and things like that. But they trust Christy so much that the relationship like it really kind of came fairly easy. And I did gain, I would say, that respect, and they just knew that we like all act with integrity here. And I don't know, I just thought I would have to fight maybe a little bit more, but I didn't. And so I really think that my experience transitioning like back in or into the, you know what I mean? My situation's kind of odd too. But back into the egg world, I guess, would be, but it wasn't that bad. So yeah, it's kind of a weird situation because, you know, like I didn't grow up on a farm, but my family really should have probably lived on an acreage. I didn't, but then I worked for a farmer since I was like 12, had a horse, was heavily involved in FFA, you know a lot of the farming operation stuff, but then went away from it, and now I'm back, and I love it. So
that's awesome. No, I think there's definitely something to said about like the women that come before us, whether it's in your job or my family, paving those paths. And I know we're very fortunate for those things. And yeah, starting out on your own is hard. And Jared and I had a unique situation, and essentially we did choose to forge our own path. And definitely didn't come without its struggles, and still sometimes searching for the light at the end of that tunnel. But it's possible, and it's scary, but there's enough people out there that want to see young people, young couples, young women, young men. They want to see you succeed. And I think through our situation and process of starting out our business, and essentially with nothing, we left with our cows and a skid loader, and built it up to what it is now. And so, yeah, I mean, we got very fortunate in you and I's situation. I just think that I would encourage others to go for it also. If it's your dream, if it's your goal, no matter what it is, whether it's farming, whether it's any other thing in the world, don't hold yourself back, because yes, it's scary. Yes, there's a lot of unknowns, but it's very, very worth it.
Yeah. And you just have to sometimes take that chance. Like you said, if you believe in it and it's what you're passionate about, then you're going to be successful at it. Because it's like living here in your heart, and it's not just, you're not just going to not put all your effort into it or whatever. What do you think some of the benefits of like being a woman in ag are? Because I know that like, especially at our dealership, we are pretty unique compared to a lot of other seed dealers because of, I think, not only Christy like has the marketing background and she's just really, really talented with that, but she had to learn and had to get the trust of our growers as it transitioned from Chuck to her, especially not coming from egg. And so we have a lot of unique services and things that we provide in order like that's different than other dealers, or we're kind of like we're ahead of the game. I think part of that is because just men and women think so differently and they can complement each other. But what do you think like are the benefits of being a woman in egg, and like the different things that you can bring to the table that like sometimes guys overlook, you know?
Honestly, I think you hit that on the head. Perfect perspective. Such a different perspective. Obviously, we like to joke in our house, like I'm the one that's always under the bus when he needs somebody to pin something on. Like we make decisions together, but ultimately, like I trust him with the cattle stuff, and we may disagree day to day on which path, which direction we need to go. He'll make the decision right with me, but it's often a phone call of, hey, Kassi said this, and it's like, but did she? Like, I take the bus pretty well. I like to live under there, but No, but yeah, the perspective. I think I bring a lot to the table that, like, he very much struggles with organization and bookkeeping. I don't like doing that, but yes, I do it. I handle all of the behind the scenes registrations, all the, we have to DNA every calf and all that kind of thing. I do all of that. He feeds. I would prefer to stay out of the feed wagon. I can do it. I don't like to do it. So I think we are very, us as a couple specifically are very complimentary of each other in that regard. And I think finding those people that bring out your strengths, you can pick up some of their weaknesses, and vice versa, is what creates a good business. And I'm sure you guys have that in your office as well. I know we have it as the Shroggy Rice family. Like, everyone has a strength, everyone has a weakness. We have to kind of coexist and commingle and make those all work. And sometimes we all drive each other crazy, but I think that also comes with passion. I mean, passion, perspective. I do think that the women have a little bit more, like, laser focus on certain things. And I know Jared specifically is very laser focused on the genetics and this and that. And some of the other things go to the wayside. And so, like, being able to complement each other in that regard. And I know, like, in farming specifically, you got some of the men that are out driving the tractors. Equally as important are the women that are bringing them the meals to the tractor and sacrificing things so they can be at home with the kids, or some of them are right out there along with them, and that's awesome. And I often look at my friends and close people around us with kids and things, and they're running to basketball games and practices and camps all summer, and see each planting and harvest season. Husband's out in the field, wife's at home trying to get everybody fed and put to bed and everything else, and how they all make it work, I have no idea. It's very cool. And I know we share some of those tendencies. Now, granted, our season is our year, like, not necessarily like a 3-week or 6-week span of go, 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 or we're very spread out, go, go, go. So I guess I don't know any different, but I think it's really cool seeing how families, couples, businesses make it all jive.
Yeah, and I think that probably, and obviously this is kind of maybe a generalization again, but when you have that and the couples that complement each other and stuff like that, especially in ag, your communication skills obviously have to be really good with one another. And I think that this is kind of just like completely a side note about marriage, but it brings it into the marriage. And I think that that's what helps, like, with some of this generational farming and stuff like that. Obviously, that's not always the case, but if you're really good at communicating, you have to work closely together. And there's a lot of give and take there. And I think that that translates into not only business partners, but then into marriage too. And I think that there's something really rich about that, and just like having your family grow up really in an ag community, or like whatever, because I do think that there are just so many differences and really unique situations in communities that are more rural. So yeah.
And along with that, like, everyone always says when you get married, like, leave business and life, and that's not how agriculturalists live. It's not realistic. If we talk about our business all day long, every day. We don't go to a 9 to 5 and leave it all at the office, or transition to husband and wife life versus cattle rancher. We're 4-wheeler ranchers. We don't ride horses around here, but
come on.
Right. No, I would love to, but no, he says that the wheels do just fine. No, but yeah, it's ingrained in our life, and I think that also, like you said, helps. It does help transition on to the next generation, because it is all you're exposed to. It is the eat, sleep, breathe what we do as a business. And I hope, God willing, we get to have kids and pass this on to somebody someday. And if they don't and they don't want that, I totally respect that. I just think that it is like, I know I am where I'm at today because of how I was brought up, the opportunities that were made possible through agriculture and the cattle, and my family that was willing to sacrifice things so that those opportunities could come to fruition. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things about being an ag. And whether you're a cattle farmer, a pig farmer, a row crop farmer, those opportunities aren't out there for just the average person. And we're very fortunate for that.
I love that. And I think so, like, Lexington grew up on a ginormous cattle Black Angus operation down in Oklahoma. Everyone's kind of retired now. Like, I would say that his uncle is like semi-retired. This is
You never
actually such
truly
a funny
retire.
story. I know, exactly, right? This is such a funny story. So they like had gotten, well, 2022, that was the year that like there was cows just like dying in the feedlots. It was horrible. We had no water. It was a drought. We actually lived down there at that time. And anyways, so they had sold off a bunch of cows, but last year Larry sent a bunch of heifers to the sale barn. Okay. 47, I think. And they call and are like, I think that they're pregnant. And there's a heifer-ish looking bull that happened to be in the mix. And so then he brought them back and had like 40, I think they only lost 2 or 3, so like 45 or 44 calves that he was not expecting. I don't know where the state of that is now, but so he like they decreased and then they accidentally increased a little bit, and then they did like some wheat and a lot of alfalfa and hay work and stuff like that. But he kind of had some resentment towards the farm because of just like when you work with your family, sometimes things get so heated and things like that. And I think he just saw like the struggle and yeah, a lot of the sacrifices that they had to make. Well, we made this trip back down to Oklahoma last winter, and he like fell back in love with the farm. And we have this giant garden, and I've always joked with him, like, it's your mini farm. That's what you're doing. Like you're literally farming because you miss it. And so he actually on Monday is going back to farming here for a larger grower. So that's really exciting, but he worked in construction for so long, but he's so excited, and you can just tell that it's kind of like you can take the person like off the farm, but you can't take that like out of them. And so and then he said to me, "Oh, maybe we just like will decrease the garden or won't have as big of one." I was like, "Is that because you're going to be a farmer now?" Like because so like we don't have tomatoes. To fill that void. I'm keeping the big garden, but anyways, I think that there's just something about being raised in egg, and it just like it doesn't leave you, you know.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So
I couldn't agree more. And kudos to you on your garden, because it's a good thing we are cow farmers and not, I mean, we do row crop enough, but primarily to cut for hay and silage.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep anything alive. I can't keep a house plant alive. And I know Jared would love if I would garden. It's just not in the cards for me right now.
You know what? One thing at a time.
My dead house plant right over here.
One thing at a time.
Right. We got to keep the cows alive first.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't blame you. So also side note, but this can be in it. Kassi has been very awesome in answering any of my texts or Snapchats, because we decided to make an impulse buy and got the boys rabbits. Okay. I like am a biologist, and I apparently did not sex these rabbits appropriately. And so all of a sudden I witnessed some action and was like, oh no, maybe it's a dominance thing, which I do think that they might do, but it wasn't the case. And so Kassi really helped me keep our 5 baby bunnies alive. We did not lose any. I thought that we were going to. And she also helped me hopefully make sure that I separated them appropriately now. I think that we're past our window, so if anyone would be pregnant, they should have had their babies by now. But I really appreciate you and your expertise in the rabbit industry.
Yes. I know I kind of laugh at the rabbit deal a little bit, and I had great mentors. And it was really just a side thing. It helped me so much with genetics, with crossbreeding, things that I do need to attribute a lot of my who I am to the rabbits, as much as it always was that I showed rabbits.
Yeah.
It did play a role, and I'm still helping out the local rabbit 4-Hers.
Well, we obviously want the boys to show, probably show cattle with Jim and Megan or something like that. But since we need to start them out with something a little bit more, manageable. And I was like, okay, we have chickens, but those really aren't I don't think we're going to show our chickens. I asked Hailey, my coworker, she's like, one time I won grand champion or something for my chickens. I was like, well, how do you choose a chicken? She's like, I just went out to the barn and chose the best looking one.
I wouldn't, don't call when that time comes. I would not have a clue.
I don't know if we'll do chickens or not, but then I was like, oh, rabbits, perfect. So yeah, apparently it's going to be a 4-H project or something like that, even though they're not quite to that age, but it does teach them so much. Showing in the show world teaches you so much, or even having Boone, my horse, which I bought back now, so that's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a full circle thing, but it teaches you a lot of respect. It teaches you about life and death. Things happen, and hard work, and that even though it's snowing out and it's negative 20 million degrees, you still have to go out and you have a responsibility. And
absolutely.
So yeah, I think that is something that's really, really important. And obviously just being a livestock farmer like you are, it's not, you didn't marry into it. It's not that that's a problem if you marry into it, but I think that probably is what helped your guys' transition also into partnership and marriage, because it's just
right.
who you are,
And it's not a job. It's not a hobby. It truly is the lifestyle, and we chose this. So obviously, yeah, you miss out on some things. You would love to go for a week-long vacation, but this comes first. And yeah, there's days where it's like, man, really like to go to the lake, or I'd really like to go do this or do that. But when it boils down to it, we wouldn't change it for the world. And yeah, the responsibility, the life lessons that come along with just being exposed to agriculture and knowing where your food comes from, and how the world works outside of a cubicle or behind a screen. I think it just, the exposure to the world is second to none.
I agree. Aw, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I mean, I don't think so, but thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being on with me. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to continue to follow your guys' journey via text or whatever. Well, or maybe we'll jot up there, I still owe you bread, because we didn't. I seriously was so sick the morning we were supposed to leave for Kassi's wedding. I got so sick. I was so honored that we were invited and thought of, and we had this, I had the hotel booked, and then we had this whole plan of oh, it is actually really beautiful up there. I did not think that it was, because you always hear about oh, Nebraska, South Dakota, it's so boring. Okay, yeah, there probably are some boring stretches, but I never thought Nebraska was super boring. I think that it's actually very beautiful. And so we had all this planned. I was like, oh my gosh, there's national park type things up there. And so we were very excited. But anyway, so the boys we do a birthday trip for because they are born on the same day every year. And so I was like, honestly, South Dakota or like Wisconsin would be a good one because it's drivable, obviously a longer drive, but like there's just a lot to do. So
Go take them to the Black Hills.
to the
I've
Black
never
Hills.
seen anything like it in my life,
That's
and
cool.
it's very cool. There's also like Needles Highway. Jared and I did that this last year. It's a little, probably not super enjoyable for the person driving, and I would recommend a small vehicle. We took the pickup through, and it's very narrow, but I mean, seeing the things God's created that people have not touched,
Isn't it crazy?
it's unreal. Yeah, and there's a lot of kids stuff to do out there too. They have little drive through like bear country and things like that. And I've never done that, but I've heard it's a very, very interesting experience. So
I love that. And okay, this is kind of a tangent again too, after we've already been done. But I think it's worth keeping in. The recording is that you have to have really strong faith to be an egg. Like holy buckets. When they talk
undeniable.
about like faith and farming, like I don't know that I know, and I'm sure there's the exception, but I don't know that I know a farmer that is not a believer. I mean, our community here is like very strong, but like I don't know how you would do it or stick with it and get through the hard times and especially economically and all these things. Because you're really at the reliance of him and his
Yeah,
will
absolutely.
and the weather and
Yeah, I mean, no different than row crop to cattle. I mean, there's good years and bad, and a hailstorm might come out and knock out your whole crop. A lightning storm could kill several cows.
Yeah.
An illness can come through.
Mhm.
It really is. You either have to be an insane gambler or a big believer,
Yes.
and maybe a little bit of both, but
Mhm.
not. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how connected to the Lord you feel in the landscape, in doing the day-to-day life, because you see the life, you see the death, you see the good, you see the bad. If you didn't believe and in something bigger than what we are, I personally don't know how you could get through it, because it is challenging, it
Yeah.
is trying, it can be the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and it can be 12 hours apart.
Yep. So true. Oh, I
Still
love
worth
that.
it.
Well, that's a good note to end on. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, Hailey.
Of course. Have a good day.
You too.